Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Sofa Broker. I am beyond delighted, proud and honoured to welcome this special guest, this very special young man, a dear friend of mine, Mr.
Of ours, a dear friend of ours, yeah.
But I'm introducing, so, you know.
Yeah, I know, but you can say of ours.
You can do your bit in a minute, mate.
Oh.
Yeah, anyway.
Do you want to
Krishan Mistry.
Welcome to the show. We know you quite well. How do we know you?
Well, you are my adopted father that, just came out of nowhere. And I'm reunited with Uncle D over here as well. So uncle and father.
So me being the younger one.
No, the uncle's always the mad, crazy older one.
Yeah, no.
The one that owns the Harley and that, yeah. You're usually the older, more sensible, kind of a guy that would use filters as he got a bit older. That kind of
well, I've said it before. Solly's the type of person that, he'll have the, bonding time with you. He'll take you out, go to a pub. And then Dan's the type of uncle that, that single uncle by himself. He'll spend his commission money or something like that. Just blow it all on motorbikes and stuff like that.
And the way it's normally worked with us over the last, 3, 4, 5 years is that, I take you out, get you really drunk. You fall asleep at my place.
Yes.
Right, wake up. And then the first message you get is from Dan going, "What the fuck are you doing today then?"
Yeah, well, someone's got to remember this is a business podcast and it is about business. And I think it would be...
we better go then.
Exactly. That half needs to go. But... This half can stay. So I think it would be good if we actually hear, Krishan, sorry, do you agree with a little bit of a backstory? Sorry, actually, how did you meet Krishan? Can you remember the first day you met him? I can't, but you seem to have a better memory than mine.
And I can't remember. Come on, you're the guest. You do the speaking.
I remember the first time I spoke to you.
Oh, yeah.
It's when I joined the previous firm.
Did it change your life?
Yeah, it actually did.
Wow,
it really did.
Let's dig into that. Let's dig into it. Because a lot of people do say conversations with people have changed your life. And Solly has done, not bigging you up, but Solly has had a lot of conversations with agents, various stages, whether they've never been an agent or they're just starting or whether they're very, very experienced. And, I won't tell him because I don't like him to know all the time. But I do get comments and notes back from people saying, wow, I had a conversation with Solly and it's been really good and it's really moved me forward, and I'm in a situation now where I want to get involved with you all guys. I'm really happy where I am, but I know so much that I didn't have, so it's nice to hear, what you could say about him.
No, I remember first time I spoke to Solly. So I joined the previous firm. I actually spoke to you the first time.
Mistake.
I spoke to you the first time, and then
double check.
And then I would say probably like a few days into joining, and then I get a phone call from Solly just to introduce himself. I thought to myself, I don't need to speak to anybody now. Like everyone can just, And then I panicked literally 3 days later. So then I called Solly back. I was like, "What? I've got this person that I'm speaking to. Turns out they actually know who you are." I was like, "What do I do here?" I was like, "Do you want it? Like, how do I play it?" But then he was like super cool with it. And then that's pretty much it. But I think the first time I've ever met you in person was actually ended up at a pub as well. Yeah, we ended up at a pub. Yeah.
So how did you get into? You're in real estate, right?
Yeah, I'm in real estate.
So how did you get into real estate?
Oh God. So it was all, I couldn't get a job at university. I wanted to get into a estate agency when I was at university, and I couldn't get a job. Nobody would offer a uni student like even a part-time job or just shadowing or anything. So I was like, do you know
a part-time job doing what? Getting
estate agency?
The high street guys.
Yeah, the high street guys. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'll just start, by myself. There was a show that I used to watch when I was little, and it was all about real estate. And I was like, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to start it. And then what ended up happening was I just called you. I found the website and I called you, and then you were like, yeah, let's go. This is not easy. It's tough. You need this, you need that. I was like, yeah, let's rock and roll with it. I didn't realize how hard it was going to be.
How old were you?
20.
I mean, that's young.
I was 20.
Yeah.
I had £200 to my name. All right. So it was literally, I had £200. Like it was.
I think we've got 250 now.
Yeah.
You've had a great 5 years.
200 and £205 now. Yeah.
I don't think he has. He pulled up in a new Merc.
I noticed.
I
looked at his and looked at mine and thought, hold on.
So when you said you were sitting there, and it's really interesting that you wanted to get in real estate, but you was at the bottom of your cash suppliers and all that. You just said you had 200. We get this a lot, Sol, don't we? People like, how do we make it over the first 6 months? Because
I mean, I think for me, it was just like I didn't have the resources to, you get these estate agency letters to your door, right? Every now and then, and all like leaflets, this, that, whatever. I didn't have the facilities for anything like that. So the only way I knew how to do that, I didn't know any wealthy people. I didn't know anybody that was actually selling their house. So then what I ended up doing was just door knocking for like 2 years straight.
yes,
That's literally it.
And you're pretty good at it, aren't you?
I'm very good at it. Yeah.
Any interesting things that have happened along the way?
I mean, I've climbed over a gate where the alarm's gone off. I've had.
Did someone pull a shotgun on you, or am I slightly embellishing that?
I think there was one time where I climbed over a gate. I was in Nottingham.
He was at your end.
I climbed over a gate in Nottingham, and I underestimated how tall the gate was.
Because you're short, right?
I'm little, yeah. So I climbed.
Little? Is that what you say?
I'm little.
Little,
yeah.
Because I'm quite little as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it doesn't show it.
You're short.
Yeah, and I'm short, am I? Yeah.
So what ended up happening was climbed over the gate and then went to go door knock. No one was home, so I tried to climb back over, but I couldn't, and I tripped the alarm off.
Oh my
to the
God.
gate. So then,
were you contracted to us at this point?
Hang on, so you jumped over the locked gate and then still thought, I'll go knock on the door. Wasn't there like a buzzer outside the gate? Did you try and...
Yeah.
And that didn't work?
Didn't work.
This is like something out of a 1980s teen movie, like Porky's or something.
Yeah, wasn't that kind of like burglary?
Yeah, kind of.
So what happened? The guy come out, was it with a shotgun, Solly?
No.
You literally stole the listing.
Oh no, that's the other. Yeah. Oh God, yes, I know which one you're talking about.
All I know is there was a property on with an agent, and you've got to embellish the story because you're the guest, right? They hear us the whole time.
Yeah.
But something to do with you, a gate. It was on with another agent, and you literally stole the listing.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So that was actually a successful one. So this is when I was working back up in Leicester. And massive house been up for sale for like 6 months, right? And then I saw the floor plan. It was like 15,000 square feet. And it was huge.
What's that, 700 grand up there?
Yeah, 500 grand, right? And then what ended up happening was I saw the people in the house. They were walking around in the front room. Pressed the buzzer, they didn't answer. So I climbed over the gate. And then they said to me, oh, it's not my son's. They got annoyed at me for climbing over the gate because it's not our house. We're looking after it for our son.
Right? Okay.
So I was like, can I have your son's details? Anyway, so I go home. Turns out the son's already seen my LinkedIn profile. Wow. So I was like, right. I messaged him straight away. He was like so blunt with me. He goes, what made you visit my house on a bank holiday? I was like,
it just gets better.
So I was like, it was a normal Sunday to me. It was like, I didn't really matter. And I just, went back and forth and the conversation just went stale. He goes, put your money where your mouth is. I didn't have any money. So I was like, I couldn't do anything. So I was like, right. About a month later, I text him back. And I'm like, are we doing this or not? He goes, I said to you, put your money where your mouth is. I was like, what does that mean? Like, just let me try. Let me have a chance. Anyway, so went in, met him, some big, homes, like a load of pubs and hospitality and this, that, whatever. And a very, very wealthy man.
Yeah. So he was running pubs and hospitality?
He owned them.
Okay, just give context.
Yeah.
That's the money.
Yeah, he owned pubs and he was huge in hospitality within sort of like Leicestershire and stuff like that. Yeah. And sat down with him, 2.5 hours it took us to walk around the whole house and the garages, and showed me his Ford Mustang from Eleanor gone in 60 seconds and all this and that, whatever. Yeah. And sat down and signed the papers, and he goes, right, I'm going to give you 3 months to sell it. The other agents had it for a year. Right, I'm going to give 3 months to say, if you don't sell it, I'm taking it off and I'm turning it into like a little hotel type of thing. and I sold it within 1.5 months.
Get in.
For 250,000 over asking.
That's
listed
cool.
at 1.5 and sold at 1.75.
How did you sell it? I mean, where did the buyer come from? Bearing in mind the other agent had sold it. Yeah.
The pictures that they use, well, first of all, it was like they had 2 agents and they used the exact same pictures. And I needed the house to stand out. So I used a nighttime picture and with all the lights on and stuff like that. So it just no other house was doing it. So I stuck that one on. And then on top of that, I was like, let's try it social media. I don't think I'll sell a house through social media. The buyer came through from LinkedIn.
That's interesting. So what year was that again, roughly?
2020.
So that's half a decade ago, and you got a listing, a success through social media.
Yeah.
I think
that makes you a pioneer.
I think what's really good about that is when we look at day and night shots. I know that Bo, when he does stuff in Colorado, I mean, the beautiful properties out there, but it's very rare for him, not to include a night shot, or in some cases to lead with the night shot. So the whole property lit up. I mean, it's covered in snow, but it's all lit up, and a drone shot looking down. The first thing you see on Instagram, so when you look at it, you're like, oh, it catches your eye. And we all know if it's catched your eye for longer than a second, you check the net. Was that your intention with that property?
For me, it was just more so nobody else is doing it, so let's do it.
So the night shot, the day shot, you led with the night shot? No,
I didn't do it. I didn't do a single day shot. I didn't include. Well, I did, but I didn't include it in any of the pictures.
And actually, interesting in those days, you were so new to it, you wouldn't have built up a network of people you go to. So it's not like you can go up to the guy and say, well, look, they've done all the boring advertising, they're showing it like shit, but I've got a great network and I'm going to network the hell out of it. You were too young in the game to do that. You actually just upped the marketing quality, the traditional marketing quality, and then of course LinkedIn would have helped with that as well. But
I did it. No, but I did it the other day as well. It wasn't like anything fancy, but it was a house that was sat on the market for 5 months. I listed it.
So this is I want you to dig into this, because this is we call it, everyone, we speak about this a lot, like repositioning. Yeah. How you take something, because we've been doing this a long time in terms of always repositioning stuff. We love the fact, and we're known for selling stuff, especially that house that sold, the most unsaleable house that was ever sold. Where was that sold? Somewhere
South Kensington.
South Ken, and we sold it. Right,
we sold it after the big stage.
After everyone, and it's because we just repositioned it differently. Not, there's a magic wand we shake. We actually went round the house, sat down, and then Solly and I, we usually argue for about 2 days afterwards, working out the marketing and making sure the price is right. And it was really about the marketing. It's like, how do we reposition this to capture an audience that hasn't yet seen it? Because everyone else has, so they would have bought it. How did you do that then in this case? How did you reposition the property to get an audience in front of it that hadn't seen it so far?
Well, it was simple, because what the high streets do is just rely on portals. They just use Rightmove and Zoopla and rely on everything. Just sit there and wait for the phone to ring.
Yeah.
Normally at the wrong price as well.
Yeah. So with this one, it was priced accurately. I remember saying to the homeowner, I was like, I don't see anything wrong with the price at all.
So it was priced well.
It was priced well. It just didn't go. So I said to her, that's one thing, that they haven't done. I've not seen it on Facebook. I've not seen it anywhere. I've not seen it here, there, and anyway. So took it on, and sold it within 2.5 weeks. At the exact same price, full asking price for it. And then they actually asked me the other day, what did you actually do that's different? I was like, every inquiry that I had didn't come through Rightmove. It came through Facebook.
Yeah.
And all these groups that I've just literally just joined every single group. And I literally just spammed it out there every 3 days.
So you're narrowing the bandwidth of the type of people that will be interested in it. That's what Facebook, in particular Facebook, does. It's quite good at that, because it gets you into your marketplace.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just taking 200 quid photos and shoving on Rightmove and Zoopla, it could go anywhere. Yeah. Quite frankly.
Do you think, and me and Sol bumped into a few yesterday that was really good self-employed agents. And we're taking a view around to someone from an open day from yesterday. It was self-employed on Sunday, to show them a £5 million house. But do you think the fact that you were self-employed pushed you to go the further step you know, and I just want you to hear it, then, you know, maybe, you know, me and Solly see people just load up stuff all the time, put it on. But do you think it forced you to think a bit differently?
Yeah, because ultimately you have to put food on the table, right? So, and there's no other company that's paying my bills or paying for that food on the table. So for me, I need to shift this quickly. Yeah. So that's exactly that's the way I've kind of treated every single one of my listings. Or anything that I sell. It's like I need to sell it to eat.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what it is.
That is how every self-employed person should think.
Yeah.
Because our hockey stick, you know, if you're a high street agent, your hockey stick starts level or £5 above it, shall we say, because all their marketing's pretty much prepaid for. So if you're just slotting the 10,000th property of the year into it, what are you actually spending on that property? Whereas, as we all know, you go and take on a big property, you know, you're starting at minus £500 minimum, really, for all the stuff you're talking about, like the night shots, etc. So you're going down before you go up. You have to go up, because if you keep going down, you're not going to be a real estate agent in 6 months' time.
But high streets don't invest into marketing.
They don't.
They don't invest into marketing. They'll invest into the portals and like Rightmove packages and stuff like that, and getting featured listings and pay £250 for a featured listing. It doesn't
It's dying out. It's dying out. It's being taken over by, you know, I want to say the Instagram agents, but I don't mean that. I just mean, you know, agents that are getting more aware of social.
Digitally savvy agents.
That's the better way of putting it. Yeah.
Trademark.
Yeah, trademark that, digitally savvy. Solly come up with that. Can you danify that as part of a Danuary?
Mate, can you just quietly up here think of a list of 5 people that are going to use that in podcasts in the coming 2 weeks?
Yeah, I can think of, actually 12 already, and it only took me a second.
I've got one in particular. Yeah. Actually 2. No, 3.
Talking about that and stuff that was on the market, the place we're going to see tomorrow, when we were speaking to the broker there that's self-employed, she said it had been on the market, you know, 6 months or something, with a very well-known agent so far, and they hadn't done anything. You know,
so was that yesterday's one?
Yeah. And I don't want to name them, but you know, so sometimes bringing over vendors and saying I'm a self-employed agent, vendors are changing or should change and think like they're going to do more just because they're self-employed, right? Just because they're being more engaged in the final parcel, which is actually making money. And I think a lot of people don't say to the vendor, dear Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I'm charging you 3% because I deserve 3%, and I'm sitting here because out of that 3%, I've got to actually carousel, i.e. I've got to advance myself £1,500, you know, £4,000, whatever it is, on marketing. And that marketing has to work because that's an investment I'm giving to you. You're giving me the property, so we're actually working together to get to a similar result. You don't really get that anymore with the high street. I mean, unless someone's wrong, high street agent.
So let me tell you, one thing I'm going to say on that is I think actually if you're a really good self-employed broker, I think one of the things you should do is engage the local agent, because the local agent, whether they're being proactive or not, they're still going to offer something else. A, they're local. B, they might have a window that's near it, or just a database of people. Let's face it, if you are on the doorstep or within that postcode, you know, you're going to have people in your database. So I always think, actually, if I get my 3%, that gives me a marketing budget that includes myself, my photography, Tom, Dick and Harry over there, but also Mr. Joe High Street guy, because I want access to him and I'm happy to pay him X% for access to what he's got so that we get it sold. And I think, you know, so the sort of, should we say, the lazy data collection of the high street agent can really help a self-employed agent.
But then do you also find that the high street agent's not necessarily willing to work with a self-employed unknown agent?
Very true, but find one that will.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because if you have got good high street agents, they don't have to be good, but people that have access to, whether they have got a window or they know the milkman or whatever it is, right, or their database is big, it's okay for them to be lazy with that database, because you as a self-employed agent will farm it out and you'll still be giving the fee away.
Then this is when experience as a self-employed agent comes in, and tips and having academies and things like that comes in, because
very important.
What's the one thing you do when you do as someone who's personable and interesting, and far more interesting than the guy running the office of that or the business owner of that high street agent? You've got to do your research like you would for your buyers and for your property. Go onto their About Us website page, which of course is the most hilarious thing in the world. Dan and I used to have a lot of fun doing that. Check out the person you think you can identify with, the one that does look like the hungry one, the one that does probably engage with social media, the one that would want to see you come in with a couple of cups of coffee if they've never met you before, offering out a really cool property and the chance to work with someone who's more aligned with them than the boss above them, who's just on a salary and doesn't give a toss anyway. That, again, is part of your 3% to your vendor.
Yeah, package. I mean, it's I think learning over in the States is where I kind of figured it, because I went to a broker's open and then there was like 500 people turn up, mixture of brokers.
What, in New York?
In New York. A mixture of brokers and like bankers and this, that, whatever, you name it, people were just there, right? And I think about it, it's like, you don't get those kind of numbers over here because the collaboration over here, it's just everyone's out for themselves here. You know, it's my listing, I protect it. If you want anything to do with it, you got to come to me type of thing. There's no agents working together. I mean, I don't really understand how it's becoming more common, I would say, but it's still really raw.
Well, there's one obvious elephant in the room here, and it's to do with fees. In the States, if you've got 6% dangling above a £10 million Brooklyn townhouse, you know, that's several £100,000. That's people are going to turn up for that because there's fees, tangible fees. If you've got a £1 million house in, you know, Essex or whatever, and the high street agent's on 1% or 0.75, why are they going to bother? There's nothing to give out.
Solly's right, but I think the difference we're seeing, you know, with us and with people like you, Chris, and what's happening is all of a sudden personality has a massive part to play in this. If what I mean by that is if you've got a personality which attracts you to network and be around other people, you know, you don't just turn up for canopies and champagne to an event because you should, because, you know, it's good. You turn up because you're interested and people find you interesting to speak to. You will network with more people. Once you network with more people and your personality shines out, if you do an open day, you would attract more people, you know, to be bothered, because it's a big deal. You got to get in your car, you got to go somewhere, you know, you're taking a couple of hours out of your time like we did yesterday, and we're both going to be doing shortly up to another £6 million house up the road. But it's that fact of networking. But when we get there, like Solly got everyone together to take a photo, everyone was happy to be involved in that photo. And the ones that weren't, they are not self-employed brokers. Yeah. Because if you can't be a little bit loud and a little bit out there, you know, and a little bit different, you aren't going to make an impact. You know,
so that's interesting. And that takes me on to our special guest. So you've got a platform. Millions of people are behind that camera. They're going to be watching your every move. Obviously, you're different from the average agent. We all know that. Your personality is amazing, and a few million people have seen it on TV and social media, etc., etc. What makes you different as an agent? If you, let's say, there's a client behind that camera there, or another broker you wanted to do business with, what would you say to them? Why would they want to work with Krishan?
Good question.
That is really
I know why, because I think you're really good fun.
So what is it? Because that is a good question.
Well, I think you kind of touched upon it. I think it's people like personality. You know, I don't give the same spiel as everybody else. I don't come into their house all suited and booted and talking about the square footage of their house. I'm interested in the people, and I take a genuine interest in everyone that I speak to. And that's the thing. It's like the other day, I went to a valuation, and the guy, very monotone, right? And you know, you just zone out, right?
You're falling asleep.
Yeah, right? You're just falling asleep when he's talking. But he's talking about, oh, what do you do? And he's talking about what he does, and then you're just there like, wow. It's like, so how did you get into that? And you don't really care. But then in their eyes, it's like, you know, this person actually is listening to me. And then that's the thing. It's like, I don't go into their house and tell them things about their house. I'll ask them questions about them. I'm curious about them. And then I think that just kind of weighs itself out.
So I think part of this, Krish, is your natural ability and then the schooling that you've had from people like us doing the academy has actually made you come full circle. What would you say is, you know, a couple of your big successes in real estate, you know, property wise? You know, if you took on something you really wanted to sell, have you took on something where, you know, you've had a celebrity has been involved? What do you look back at so far in your short life, right, and think, you know, that's something I'm proud of that?
Well, I think off the back of the TV show that came out, I do think.
So it's the Crazy Rich Agents TV show, BBC One. Is it still on
BBC iPlayer?
Is it still running on BBC?
Even my ugly mug turns up at one point.
Solly is very good on it. He isn't ugly. He did have a shave at that point. Did you have a shave?
I can't remember.
He's going to pretend. He's been on 2 shows. Okay, 2 shows. Yes. Hire Me with Snoochie Shy.
Oh yeah.
Hi Snoochie. Shout out.
Christ. Anyway,
so what are you saying? Yeah, the biggest successes would be.
Yeah, off the back of the TV show, I think I had a call from somebody that was on Love Island.
Wow. Okay.
Wowzers. Okay.
And they were like, "Oh, we watched your show." They interrupted him at the wrong time. I was like, I was on the toilet.
So you take the phone and you answer it?
Yeah, I answered it. Okay. Yeah.
That's a self-employed broker.
That's a self-employed broker right there. Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, so I was like, spent 45 minutes talking to them, and they were like, "Oh, well, can you come up to Scotland?" And I was like, "What for?" He goes, "Oh, this is just where our house is." I was like, "Do you want me to sell a house up in Scotland?" And they were like, yeah. So I was like, it's got to be a nice house then. And I was like, I'm going to charge you like X amount of fee for all this, that, whatever. And anyway, so spoke to her, went to go visit, and she was so lovely, like really, really.
So you drove all the way to Scotland?
I took a train. I'm not driving.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you need to go north before you looked at the map or anything?
No, I had to make sure I knew it. Yeah.
Was everyone able to speak okay? Because I know when we go up into Scotland, when I'm up in Scotland, people can't understand me. They're like, oh, can I? And all that.
It was the same yesterday.
Yeah, it was the same. Yeah.
No, I think it was totally fine. And then I think with the way we kind of worked out, because it's just I can't go up to Scotland every time I get a viewing, so it was just like, all right, fine. I will find people and you will show them round, because who knows the property better than the homeowner themselves, right?
You collaborate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then that's the way we did it.
That worked out. I mean, that's going up to Scotland. There is so disclaimer. There is different laws once you go over to Scotland. You do need to look into them before you take anything on up here in Scotland. But feel free to go around the world. And what do you see? If we could go forward 20 years, I'll probably be dead, and Solly definitely will be. But we'll probably still be recording from our coffins. You'll hear us if you walk near the gravestones. You'll hear us chatting to each other.
Coffin broker.
The coffin broker.
You're in a care home.
What does real estate look like in that world for you? Krish, where is...
No, sorry, but picture, he goes, I'll be dead, but you'll be in a care home. Imagine you in a care home.
He does. He wants me dribbling out the corner of my mouth, suffering.
Yeah.
I
want your family to really hate you.
I've spent my whole life suffering because of this guy. So where are you? 20 years forward, where's Krishan? What is something amazing that's happened?
That's another tough question. 20 years from now, where do I see myself? 20 years
where do you sell real estate?
Where do I sell real
See
estate?
it.
Oh,
God. What's going on?
In the market in general?
Don't say world of VR and all that.
No.
Behind that.
Do you want to build an empire?
I think, yes. Absolutely, 100%. I think that's everyone's kind of thing. When they start the industry, they often think, that I want to make it big. I want
but lots of people, not lots, but I know a handful of people that come out of good estate agency, capable people thinking, I'm good, therefore I'm an entrepreneur, I'm going to go and start my own brokerage or agency, and then they see the pain. Is that something that you're prepared to? Because you've got tons of power, you've got all that stuff, tons of personality, you've got an effect on people, but I guess given that you've seen how tough it is to start to get into this business as a solo individual, is that something you want to go through to build your empire?
Yeah, you kind of have to though, don't you? It's like if you want something, you have to go through it. All the hardships and all that. But there's been so many people that I've met that have got this ideal world that they live in, but they're not willing to put the work in, or they'll do the work and then they just realize how hard it is and then they just give up.
So 20 years time, the world hasn't changed. It's still about hard work.
No. Yes, absolutely. But right. I do think that the world of real estate, I would like to think that the UK has become more Americanized, where there's more self-employed agents and there's more open for collaboration.
Moving that way,
yeah. I think that's what I would like to see, because then that would make it an actual profession, would be treated as, we're providing some sort of value. I think there's that other thing about fees as well, like you pointed out. 6%, they are their own lawyers, they do close quick, they do this, they do that. This barrier to entry for real estate here is just so broad. And like, it's anyone can become an estate agent. It's that easy that it kind of needs to tighten up a little bit.
I think what you'll probably find is that fees at some point will get capped, and it'll be dependent on whether you've got a license or whether you're, all that kind of stuff. I think there'll be much more regulation because that's the way it's gone.
But I do think that if there was a license here, I'd be keen to know how many people, estate agents, would actually not become estate agents, and that how many people would actually leave the industry just because they need to get a license.
Yeah, so we move towards, again, it's more the agents we're closest to would be American agents coming over, doing this stuff. We know in Australia, the agents out there do amazing stuff and amazing training. It's just that they're slightly further away, so it's kind of the closest ones we can see doing it is in the States.
Yeah, I like, because I don't know how anybody else does it. I've not been around to see how everyone... But I mean, for me, I would like to sell properties in different places. 100%, because there's so many beautiful places out there, but it depends on how regulated these places are.
So what's next for Krishan?
Well, do you want me to say it?
Yeah.
Do you want me to say it?
Say whatever you want.
Yeah, I'll say it. Well, I'm pleased to announce that I'll be joining and partnering with Aperture.
Well done, son. Well done. And if we move that forward to we're still in the 20 years in the future, is Krishan married? Because are you married at the moment? Have you
no, nothing's been arranged. Nothing's been arranged. If you get onto that.
But would you like to have kids? Do you want to settle down?
Yeah, eventually, down the road. I think.
Yeah, you can't look after Sid all your life.
Exactly. Yeah,
the reason I was asking that, and do you want to settle down? Do you think that that powers you forward more, or are you going to be going the same speed? I'm very interested in this question. I've been asking people a lot about it lately. Is someone that isn't yet attached or married or whatever a better agent, or is it someone that's actually been through it and has more life skills in terms of having kids and all that is a better agent? And is there a difference? I'm just curious to try and work out the difference.
Well, it depends on your partner though as well, like who you're dating at the time, and depending on what they're like as a person. So like if they're pretty open to you being, understanding that you're trying to build something, and then then that's a good person. But for me, I think I perform better when I'm by myself.
But do you perform better by yourself?
Because there's no distractions. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Like,
okay. What we're talking about. Do you think you perform better by yourself as an independent agent?
Yeah.
Okay. So, guys, it's been really fantastic listening to Solly and Krishan and all the fantastic stuff that's been going on, and we hope to hear a lot more from him, as I'm sure we will. I want to finish off, and I'm going to get this right, don't look at me like that, Stan, on Spotify, Amazon, YouTube... Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, and there's another one. So look, find it yourself or don't. We're really not bothered. And I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.
See ya.